Certainly will. Thank you. Hello, guys. What do you think? Hello, tell what a day, hey? I get told off. I'm getting told off and everything, and next minute, I don't know. Anyway, Jake Estrada. God.
Hey everybody,
Oh no. Have I got the right person on tonight or what? Oh well, never mind. How are you? I won't be joking. How are
I'm
you? You alright?
I'm good, Steve. What about you? You doing good
Oh
over there?
yeah. It's good. I'll be sacking some of my staff in a minute.
I hear you, man.
Oh yeah, got to get rid of them. Anyway, okay, guys. Don't forget, you've got any messages for him. Stick them in the left-hand column, and the other messages in the right. It's so simple, guys. All right, you know what to do. Right. Okay. We were talking last time about that you made a film called Bogus,
Yes.
right? Tell everybody what that is all about.
Bocas is based off a comic book series of my own that I created about over 20 years ago. But the film itself, it centers about a fallen angel who's been wandering Earth for, since the dawn of existence after he was kicked out of heaven. And he's trying to right all the wrongs, that his other fallen angels are doing. And he comes across all kinds of different weird adventures. And it's a great movie. I always say it's a crazy film, and also stars Nino Mezzarino with Nino's Tacos.
And where did you get the idea for that film?
Well, so like I said, it was based off a comic book series of my own that originally I worked with my father, and originally Bocas was based off my father's likeness. The old comic series, like the art, the character looked a lot like my dad, and so the idea pretty much had been something that I've been working on for 2 decades and doing as a comic before I adapted it as a movie.
Right, okay. Because in the because you written that with Chuck Fresh, didn't you?
Yeah, the screenplay itself was written by with me and Chuck Fresh. I wrote the initial draft, and then Chuck came along and he expanded upon the ideas. He went through the old comics, and me and him, we bounced ideas off. Chuck, he's an amazing talent, amazing writer, amazing singer as well. He he's a man of many talents. He has done a lot of stuff in entertainment. He's been in Vegas. He's worked with Ed McMahon, a lot of famous celebrities and stuff like that. So it was an honor working with him always.
Where did you get all your people to then? All your kind of like actors and film crew, because if someone's watching now, they'll probably ask, say, right, if I want to make my own film, like Bulgars, what do I have to do, to make my dream film come true?
Well, we have one of the greatest tools, in the modern world these days. It's called the internet. And on the internet, we have social media. You go online, you go into film groups on social media and Facebook or onto Instagram, and you start making drives. You start telling people, look, I'm making this type of movie. I'm filming in this area. Are you interested in being in it? And before you know it, you get tons of people that start emailing you, messaging you, that are interested in working with you. And that's what helped make Bocas a reality. I made a drive, and the next thing you know, people started messaging me. And in fact, when I was filming particular scenes, people will walk up to me like, "Hey, is this a movie that you're making?" I'm like, "Yeah, I always wanted to be in a movie." And I would tell them, "Well, do you have a headshot? Do you have a resume? Just simple things like that. Just tell me a little bit about yourself." And me, I like talking with people, so I will talk with them. I'll talk to them in person, and let people know, and that's pretty much how it worked doing Bocas.
Yeah, yeah. And also, what do you what do you have to do about getting locations and stuff? I bet that's hard too, like getting permission to film and everything.
So that can be a hassle. That can be an obstacle for filmmaking and a lot of different stuff. Because I've done, besides Bocas, I've been on like the Under Presence, our ghost hunting show, and we've done Zoom, which is the most recent one that I had play look in a local theater here. A lot of it, I just got lucky knowing people that actually owned like a donut shop, and I got lucky with people that actually owned homes, and then there was a particular place out here in Florida where I'm at, where they had a whole town that they built all these streets, but they never built a house. The land developer actually took the people's money and ran off with it, but left all these streets there. So it looks like this desolate place that was bombed and is all built up. So the only thing you need here in the county I live in, Florida, which is called Brevard County, also known as the Space Coast, because all our missiles from NASA come off here where I'm at. So I got connected with the film commissioner, and I just filled out a form letting them know that I'm filming a film here locally, and they were like, "Okay, you're set." So I didn't have to pay for a license to film anywhere here. I just needed people's permission, owners, and and pretty much you got to go to those owners if you don't know them and ask them, hey, how much would it cost to film at your location? Some take a fee, some don't want a fee, but to make any kind of project, you do have to make sure you're talking to the actual owner. You can't talk to the waiter or the server or anything like that. You got to find who the manager is, and then for the manager, if they have those type of rights to film anything in these locations. I mean, people these days take a lot of things for granted. Like, oh, let me go make a video with my camera, right? No, you can put it up on the Facebook, but that owner also reserves a right to tell you take that down now, or they'll sue you.
Yeah, yeah.
So you always got to make sure you get the owner's permission. Hey, is it okay? I'm making this project. I'm doing this and whatnot.
Did you have a budget for your film?
Yeah, it was a $1 budget. That's why I started with $1. I started to reach out to different businesses. I started reaching out to sponsors. I ended up getting sponsors to help me rent locations. I got sponsors to help me with feeding the crew. So pretty much, I just had an idea. I said it probably cost about $10,000 to rent these locations out, and I don't have all but $1, but maybe I will get sponsors. And sponsors came along. And with sponsors that actually helped pay, that was ideas like, well, look, I'm making this movie. It's going to play on Amazon, which it did play on Amazon for a year. And I told them it will play in several theaters. It will also be in film festivals, which it has played in film festivals. So I told them you could be an executive producer. They'll get your names. They'll get you professional acting onto the IMBD.com, which is the main hub for actors to have their names listed. So I'll get you producer credits. They'll get you this. I will spell it out, and people would give money. So that actually helped feed the budget that I needed for particular scenes that where I wanted to film at, or like I said, feed the crew, because we had one day a scene which is like a bunch of zombies appear out in the compound of one area.
Yeah,
and it was really hot out there, and we ended up getting Jersey Mike's subs to actually provide food for us too. So but it required a lot of communication, a lot of talking, a lot of bringing these people together.
What made me laugh when I was going through your cast the other day, you had like a what was it? Hang on for a second. You had like look at my notes. You had their zombie,
Yeah,
the man,
yeah,
a call girl,
yeah.
a phoenix, and all these other people, right? And one thing that stood out to me was, hang on for a second. you even kind of had Dancing Girl on it,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
where was it to? And a Rubber Zombie. Where did you? I'm not trying to be funny, but were you drunk when you made all this up?
My mind, I really don't drink a lot of alcohol. I very little. My mind, I'm basically drunk all the time. I always tell people I'm just going through a haze.
Yeah, yeah. You probably were. You even kind of like poor old Angela. She was shark bait. You know. Oh, here go, Angela. You can be one of the cast. I'll chuck you to the shark. You know what I mean? But when this film was, how long did it take you to do this film?
So the movie roughly took me about a year and a half to put together. S- the since I had already acted in a few other indie movies, but never in the capacity as a director. So that was a first time for both of us when I was putting it together. And then so it took about a year and a half to to film the film before I started editing it. And then I worked tirelessly for another 2 months after I was done shooting the final scene, editing the movie in Adobe Premiere Pro, and it took a lot of time doing that because it was like a huge learning curve, just learning how to edit a film inside a computer program. Because when you don't learn that and you have no teacher, but one of my greatest teachers was Google again and YouTube. I would go and type in, how do you do this effect? How do you do that? And that's what was allowing me to figure out how to use Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah, and also what was it? Because you had some music on it on the film too. So, how long did that take you to kind of like sort out?
Now the music was a totally different thing. I know a lot of guys that play music. Like I said, Chuck again. He's a great singer. He's a great performer and entertainer. He has, and we worked on his Angel song that you've played before here. And then he and then I knew a bunch of guys that were big in the 1980s. They were in big hair bands, the big rock groups and stuff like that. So I had guys give me the music there, and I talked to these guys, and I sat down, and they would give me the entire catalog. So like, pick whatever song you want, play whatever you want in the movie. So that itself was a job. It was about a week long process going through songs that I thought would fit for a particular scene.
Wonder why you got a therapist zombie involved too. um, yeah. And when the film was made and everything, and how did you get on with it? How did it come across with your audience where you played it or shown it?
So I've played it in quite a few places. Like I said, like just recently, about 2 3 weeks back, I was at a film festival for Bocas, and it played. And then the feedback I got back from the show producer and from the audience, they said they loved the fact that Bocas encompassed so many different genres. They thought
Yeah.
that it was interesting. That it was like crime noir and a spiritual film, and it had all these different messages going on, and then it was part horror, and it was a comedy film at the same time. They said that it was something that you hardly ever see in independent films at all. They told me.
Yeah. What was the message that? Because every film, of course, it's got a message to portray. What was your message?
So the overall theme of the film for me was that Borgas in a lot of ways is my father, but it's also me now. And the one of the stories I wanted to convey and get across to people was that no matter no matter how hard life can get, don't give up. And and for Borgas and for myself, it's always felt like uh, especially like for me, particularly growing up, I always felt like I had to fight for everything. And Bocas even says that all his life he had been fighting, and he just wanted peace, but he also wanted peace for everyone else. And he just wanted, people to be happy. And he thought that, he was responsible for the outcome of what happened between him and his sister. Here they're having this epic battle through time, and the world's gone to hell. And Bocas feels kind of guilty that, maybe he should have stopped her sooner, and maybe they wouldn't be in the situation they were at in that film. So that's why he's trying to, stop her. And all these weird obstacles are happening in between in the middle of the movie, and then the final showdown between him and his sister.
Yeah. And what was the final scene about his sister about? Because I thought that was that a bit odd.
No, it's something that there's a rivalry between brother and sister, if you think about it, and he felt that he had to stop her and control her, and he wanted to right the wrongs that he let her go. It's kind of like someone has a gun, right? And they tell you, I'm going to shoot this building up, and you go, who cares? Do whatever you want. And they go out and they shoot up everybody and kill everybody. Then you're like, I could have stopped that, and I didn't stop that. So that's where Bocas was. He let this go. He let her, do what she wanted to do, and he felt responsible in a lot of ways.
Right. Okay. Because I was kind of like reading about it, and I thought, oh no, I just didn't get the ending. It just kind of like I'm probably thick, but
No.
I tried to get the ending, but I found it very difficult.
I can see that, because you're watching this whole movie, and then boom, he appears and he's confronted by his sister, and then right then and there they had this fight, and then she finally touches him, and it's like he set her up to and he was like a virus to her. She had, if you notice in the beginning of the movie when she first walked into the church, she doesn't touch him, but then he breaks down. But being that he's like her little brother, she feels bad for him, and she like touches him, and then he's like, boom, I won, I fooled you, and then she got reconnected to the father. She was finally hearing the father's voice. And if you kind of know, like in biblical sense, like if you look into God's face, you're supposed to like immediately die, or if you hear his voice, he can kill you. So that's what happened. She got reconnected to the father. So kind of like a virus, it finished their epic battle. And she had been, and that's why I kind of set it up in the beginning. She appears, and then you see her kind of like in the middle, of the thing, and then in the end, the final battle. That's what I was like striving to do, to bring all those pieces together, so they can show that this is something that's been going on a lot earlier, and it brought forth this horrific outcome where the missiles had gone off, and people were turning to zombies, and then it was Bocas' fault, and he was trying to right that wrong, but it was like a long game as well. Maybe the movie would have ended a lot faster if Bocas just would have grabbed her by the face there in the church, and that would have been the end. It's over.
Let's look at the trailer.
Okay.
Oh man, dude. Don't get up, man. Don't get up.
Is this for the documentary thing that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I thought you were ready, bro.
Oh, okay. Give me a second here. Let me get ready. All right.
Dude, can you courtesy flows?
My name is Bocas, and I star in this film, okay? In this film, we have tits, we have ass. Wait. Okay. My mistake. My bad. That's for the sequel. There's no tits, there's no ass. All there is blood, mayhem, and murder. Starring me, my friend Junior, and a bunch of other guys. And if I have to get off this damn toilet, don't get up. But if I have to get off this toilet, I'm gonna hurt you. And I don't want that someone to be you out there, baby. If it has to be you, it's gonna be fucking death and murder here. So please, guys, come watch Bocas or else. Now, do you mind? Come let my ass down.
That was funny. That was funny. What did you think about that trailer?
Yeah, that was an early trailer that when we were promoting. We were doing that to try to give the idea to people what was going to be in the movie, and we were laughing. We're like, we don't have a whole lot of gratuitous sex in the movie, so we should talk about that. Make people think there's going to be that, and then oh, by the way, there's really none of that, guys, in the movie, and we were having a good laugh, me and Chuck, about that. So we sat there and we made that ad for that. And then actually helped some of the local businesses around to donate to our funds for the finishing the movie.
Yeah, I hope you didn't mind me showing that.
No, I don't care. I forgot we made that, and seeing that makes me laugh.
Yeah, well, I'll do my research, don't you worry.
Yeah.
What are you? Because you do cartoons as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a comic book artist as well, a publisher. I work with Nino Mezzarina for the Unbelievable Laundry Detergent Man. We release his comic. He does comic work with us. I make comics myself. I work with other artists too. I'm constantly, I think, comics and filmmaking go hand in hand together. It's entertainment. It's trying to, tell stories, a storyteller, and that's why I always tell people I'm a storyteller more than anything else. Yes, I make movies and I make comics, but I'm overall a storyteller. I'm trying to tell a story.
Yeah. And when you, with your comics, where do you get the ideas of when you got to kind of like do a certain story? Do you have to do like storyboards and everything?
Yeah, for the comics, it's pretty much storyboards, like you said. Like it's kind of like you think about. They do storyboards in movies. They do the same thing in comics. They got the panels and the breakdowns, and you go and you draw it out. You do what they call thumbnails. You sketch it out, then you work it out, and then you got to make sure it flows good. Then you send it to your editor. I actually have an editor, Beth Sips. She does a great editing work. She actually works for me, and she works for Jonathan Hedrick, another comic book creator who actually has a comic book called Capable, which is about a handicapped kid that develops powers, and a bunch of other handicapped people develop powers. So she's a great editor. She does a lot of editing for me and for a bunch of other publishers. So sometimes I write stuff like, this makes no sense. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to say? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to say this. Well, go back and do more work on it. So so we're going back and forth on that too.
Because you do cartoons for like papers, don't you?
Yeah, I actually have done anti-bullying comic strips for the local papers here in Florida. I've done stuff for Al Dia Today, which is a bilingual Spanish newspaper for Brevard County, and then I've done stuff for what's the other one? There's a few other ones I've done. I forget their name right now. Right now, they're escaping me the names. They'll probably come to me tonight when I'm sleeping.
Yeah. And tell me about Zoom.
Zoom is the latest project that I just completed, and we had our film premiere for the crew and staff, and for anybody that wanted to come down last Friday. It was a huge thing. We had a lot of people come down and see it. Right now, we have the Blu-rays, and I also just recently finished putting it up on gumroad.com, where you can find you can rent it for $2.99 if you want to see it out there. I actually had that up. I just put that up today.
That's based on the horror, isn't it?
So yeah, Zoom is based on a true story that happened where there was a killing a killing over Zoom. You know, especially during COVID, everybody started using Zoom like we're doing right now. You and I are talking, and there was a killing over Zoom, and that actually festered an idea in my mind. Because I was actually in the process of filming another movie called The Human Virus, which is another thing based off another one of my comic book properties, and I had the whole production of that film. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now that everything's closed down? And then that's how Zoomed was born. But I was like, I know how to make a movie. After I heard this story about a woman being killed over Zoom, and that people saw in the background, and they weren't able to do anything about it. There's where the idea came and festered in my mind, and I started to, push this idea to the forefront.
Yeah. Let's look at the trailer for that one.
Okay.
It's going down.
I'm your wife. We talk, okay? And yeah, speed dial's a thing. Don't question me.
Hey, how did you get in here?
What's happening?
So we need to think about what we're going to do from here on out.
Around like some duck, waiting for some maniac to come and attack me.
Fucking find you, son. You are fucking dead. Peter. Yeah. Fuck this shit. I'm getting the fuck out. Yo, what the? I'm not him.
Yes, imagine that.
There you go. So, and is it like that all the way through?
No, so the trailer of the film, it was just me playing up "You've Been Zoomed" because that does happen in the film. The characters get zoomed, and the killer is screaming, "You've been zoomed," every time somebody goes missing or gets murdered in the movie. So and I figure "You've Been Zoomed" kind of starts becoming like earworm in your mind's ear. And so most of the movie, if you watch the movie, you kind of see this movie where they're talking like you and me right now, and do you and you play it out. And hey, Nino, how you doing out there, man?
Right. So it's cooking at the moment. It's probably the fire brigade's coming to his house because he's burnt his sausages, right?
He's having some Italian sausage, right? Or all beef, Nino, all beef sausage.
Yeah, all beef. Yeah. When you kind of like doing your films or what's best? Is it your films or is it your comics?
I have to say it's 50-50. There's times I wake up and I'm in love with comics and that's all I want to do. And then there's other times that I wake up and all I want to do is film. I gotta say it's a toss up. That's a really hard choice to say. I love being creative. I love being able to be a creator, and I love the fluidity that I have as an indie creator, where I'm not defined as a filmmaker or I'm not defined as a comic creator. I'm just defined as a creator, and I kind of like that I don't fit in a box, and I kind of like and that's how my studios are. I actually I have my business together and I've molded it where I in my business license where it says film director and comic book creator and publisher and all these things. I think it's a great fit for me. And I know for some people it might drive them crazy where they got to go back and forth. Me, kind of feeds into my character. I like, being in a lot of different places and it's exciting.
Yeah. Do you ever get your family involved in your films?
Yes, I have. I actually, my daughter was in Zoomed. My daughter was also in Bocas. My youngest son played Baby Bocas in Bocas, and then there was even my oldest son Patrick. He was also in Bocas as well. He was the victim to Vato in the movie.
Right. Okay. How about doing something like superheroes sometimes?
Superheroes, yeah. There's nothing wrong with superheroes. I love superheroes. That's what got me into comic books.
Yeah, something like Super Nino, come
Super
and
Nino.
save the day.
Well, Nino is the ultimate hero in Bocas. If you remember, even in the apocalypse, there's Nino's tacos.
It's always like Nino save the day. You know what I mean? But the trouble is, Lucy, when you're doing your films and everything else you got, is it always you got to sort out a budget, all the time, or is it you can? Because these days you can do it on your phone, or you can do it on a camcorder. Um, is it difficult really to make a film?
I would say it's not difficult to film. I think the difficult part is to discipline yourself to be able to sit down and say, I'm going to spend this much time on my project and I'm going to put it together and then finishing it. There's a lot of people out there that are filming stuff and they don't finish it. It's the finishing part that's the hard part, and then, letting the world judge it, because no matter what, I might think it's the greatest film and everyone's going to be like, that's garbage film, man. Why are you still doing this? But it's not because of them. It's because of me, and that's how I look at it. It's, you don't have to have a huge budget. You don't even have to have the best camera to film, but you do have to have the drive to complete your project.
Yeah. And also, when you're kind of like making your films, and if it, do you ever get great big sometimes things like go wrong and you got to go back to it again, or someone broken a leg or arm? Anything happen big?
So, there was one guy in a movie where I was filming, and then the next day he shaved all his beard. And I'm like, what are you doing? I was filming this, and he's like, oh, I forgot. So then I had to postpone his scene, and then another time, the donut scene in Bocas, where we filmed it and there was no sound. So I went back and I refilmed it. People were like, well, you can dub it. I'm like, no, I'm going to refilm it. And we refilmed that. And then, other than that, there hasn't been any real big major things to have halt. Bocas, there was just little things like that happened, and it's natural. Thankfully, no one died in the middle of making a movie.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? Someone died. Gosh.
Yeah.
You might have to work around that then.
Yeah, I know. We have to secretly write it in.
Yeah. He died of a donut. Yeah. Lastly, what I want to talk to you about really, you say you're a publisher. Have you written any books?
I actually have written a book. I haven't published that book, but most of my books are comic books. But I do have a book that I've written. I actually have several books. I just never actually ever finished those books because those books are kind of autobiographical. Because I actually have a book that I'm writing about my life, about me coming up, being Puerto Rican, what it takes to be Puerto Rican, what it takes to be Jake Estrada Puerto Rican. And I've worked on that. And one of these days I'm going to release it. I have no fear releasing. Maybe my mom will come and assassinate me in the middle of it. What I say about her and my sister, but I'm not worried about that. That's kind of stuff that the way I look at.
What's it like? What's it like to be Puerto Rican then?
The it, we live in a strange time. When I was a kid, I lived in the city of Philadelphia, which is a big city up north of me from here. I live in Florida right now. I live in a town called Rockledge, Florida, which is about 15 minutes away from Melbourne, Florida, here in the Space Coast, part of Brevard County. But me growing up, I grew up in Philadelphia and then later in New Jersey, right on the outskirts of Philadelphia. But so Philadelphia has the second largest population of Puerto Ricans outside of Puerto Rico. And we grew up there, and I'm kind of fair skinned. So people would badmouth Puerto Ricans, kind of like what they do with Mexicans these days. So we would go there, and people were like, all these Puerto Ricans are stealing our jobs, and all these Puerto Ricans are doing this and that. And then you would talk to other Latinos and be like, those Puerto Ricans, they don't know how to speak Spanish. They speak terrible Spanish. We hate them because they don't need a green card to be in the USA. No, I'm saying. So, I always felt like as a kid growing up, we were these we were U.S. citizens, but we were like we were second class U.S. citizens, and we were less than Hispanic. We were less than American. We were these weird creatures crawling around on the rocks. That's how I felt as a kid. And then all this weird racial tension that went on in the city of Philadelphia. Like I had a cousin that got murdered because he happened to be a Puerto Rican kid. And this white guy just didn't like him because he was Puerto Rican, and chased him down about 2 blocks and then put a tire iron in the back of his head. So that shaped my mentality as a kid to actually have a lot of this inner fear, and this fear led to anger. And so you would look at me wrong, and I actually would fight you as a kid. What are you looking at? And I had something to prove to people, and I was this big kid. So then a lot of people wanted to test me out. Oh, he's big, and that means he must be a wimp. So I was always fighting as a kid, and he used to drive my mom and dad crazy. They're like, why are you always fighting? And I'm like, you just don't understand. You just don't understand why I have to fight. You're there as a grown person not understanding. And then my dad was like, look, I understand, because I used to be in the same situation you were in a lot of ways when I first came here from Puerto Rico to the States. But you got to learn to control that, because as the older you get, you're going to be a grown man, and one day you're going to kill somebody, and then you're going to be in jail. You don't want to kill me. So it was one of those things going on. My father was a great dude. He was a great philosopher. He had a great head on his shoulders, and we would have these long, drawn-out conversations and talk about a lot of stuff. My mom, a great woman, but a lot of times, even to this day, I even tell her, you don't understand. You still don't understand. She has her view set in the world is totally different than mine. I'm not saying hers is wrong, because, everybody has a certain worldview, and everybody's worldview is slightly different. That's why we have so many different religions too, Steve. If you think about it, everybody has a different worldview on religion. Everybody has a different worldview on how we got here. People argue about the Big Bang. People argue, no, God created us. And other people are like, I don't know how we got here. I just want pizza. So,
And also, you were really because you made an appearance in your own comics, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Just drawing myself in the book, and I make sure Bocas looks like me now in comics. Bocas used to look more like my dad. Now looks more like me. And then I have also appeared in my own comics in Donut Demons, and I've also had Nino draw me on covers as well for Space Coast Comics, and I make appearances everywhere. I figure, my face is a brand. If you see my face, you know me from somewhere.
Look, Jake, yeah, I love having you on. I think you're funny, mate. And thanks for joining us once again, and love to everybody over there.
Thank you
And
so much
I'll
for
see
having
you
me.
again. I'll get my wife to get you back in again. See you
Awesome. I
later.
can't wait. Take care. Have a good night, man.
Yeah, and you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.